The match. Well, the Lakers got swept, but whatever.
Well, yeah, yeah. What can we do? We can. I'm sure Kehan will mention it as a way to uh, stick the knife in my heart a bit, but that's okay. You know, Kehan likes when the Lakers, despite him saying that he was
Wow.
rooting for the Lakers. I think he's pretty happy that they got swept.
No, I'm not, man. I I was hoping to hang out with you guys for these games, but now there's nothing to watch. Just fucking Denver and Miami. Who cares about them? No, I was rooting for the Lakers, man.
Okay, okay. I take it back, Robert. He was rooting for the Lakers.
Okay.
It's just weird because for the majority of our friendship, he was a big time Laker hater. So this is a new thing
Oh.
for him. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I knew he was a Clipper fan. I didn't necessarily know he was a Laker hater.
Yeah, when we were younger, he hated all those teams, the Shaq and Kobe teams. He hated pretty badly. So
I didn't hate them. I was a Portland Trailblazers fan. So you had to hate the Lakers if you're a Trailblazers fan,
well,
you
I
know?
guess, but why all of a sudden were you like a Trailblazer fan out of nowhere? That just came out of left field. It was they were the biggest competition to the Lakers, and all of a sudden you were their fan. It was weird.
Well, I dug that team, man. That was a really fun team with Sabonis and Steve Smith, Scottie Pippen, Rasheed Wallace,
See, sure,
Damon Stoudemire. That was a cool team, man. I mean, the
yeah,
Lakers.
they were.
Uh,
I don't like rooting for
that
the team
same that
that
same team that was up by 14 and then lost that lead in the series. That
yes, exactly. That was the one of the worst days of my life. I don't care anymore, but at the time it was real bad. It was shitty. That was
Yeah,
heartbreaking as fuck,
that
man.
was.
So yeah, of
It's
course I hated the Lakers. Dude, the Lakers were an embarrassment of riches. Shaq and Kobe, get the fuck out of here. That's not fair. I don't root for the teams that are like way obviously gonna win. Like I don't like rooting for Real Madrid and teams like that. It's no fun. Even when you win, it's like how proud of it can you be? You had all the best players, you know?
all
Well,
right, all right.
since you bring it up, why don't we just start the show with the Lakers getting swept?
I thought this was a wrestling podcast.
Well,
All right, all right. Well, what do you want me? What do you want to ask about it? I mean, what's your? You want my opinion on it?
no, how do you feel? Like, were you sad about it? You're a big time Laker fan, or you don't care as much as when you were a kid? When you were a kid, man, you used to actually be
Yeah.
devastated when they lose. I remember.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I don't feel good that they got swept, but you know, considering where the season started and where they were, and that they made it to the conference finals, and they played pretty like they played four close games with Denver. You know, all the games were kind of winnable. They just Denver uh, executed way better than Lakers in the fourth quarter. Got the shots they needed to get, and they were better. I mean, what can you do? But they were all close, so it wasn't like they were ever like killed in any of these games. Like I think every game was like within like 3 or 4 points down the stretch. You know, it was really close. But and again, considering where the season started when they were 2-10 and the 13th seed for most of the year, I think overall I'm pretty happy with what they were able to accomplish this year, and I'm hopeful that with like some tweaks and maybe like a full training camp and a full season of with these guys, they'll be able to be back and hopefully compete again for getting to the finals. They need LeBron healthy. They need AD to obviously be healthy, but also, you know,
play like a
not
center.
disappear. Well, they need miracles. They need miracles.
Hey,
They
Robert,
need like that.
you think they should run it back with the same team, or should they get Kyrie Irving?
I'm not a fan of Kyrie. Not like his talent, but his work ethic more so.
Of course.
Um, yeah,
But come on, man, you need firepower. This team like outgunned the Lakers. They were better, man. They had Jokic, a young Jokic in his prime, Murray.
True,
Yeah,
but
you know,
who knows? Maybe some like um I don't know, some event happens where he feels like he needs to take a break for a while because he has to support this cause and can't think about basketball and just like I
Sure.
don't know. Just
I
come on,
know,
man. You're
but
getting paid to play. You gotta
it's kind,
play.
isn't it kind of the only hope though, man? Because if you run it back with the same thing is gonna happen.
Not
Except LeBron is a year
necessarily.
older.
I think
Not
I think
necessarily.
I think I would look for safer options.
There's
Right.
no other option. He's a free agent. You could sign him.
Right. Well, he's an option, but I kind of have the same concerns as Robert does about Kyrie. He's not really all there, you know. And I don't mean that just mentally because that's part of it, but also physically, he's not always all there. Like he just disappears and he'll go away and he'll God knows what he's going to do. You know, he's the Kanye of the NBA. You know,
Oh yeah, exactly.
he can't be trusted and relied upon. Does he have talent? Well, yeah, no doubt he can play. He's a really good player when his mind is right. But the only one that's ever actually gotten anything out of him is LeBron. So that's the hope. But I don't know. That was a while back. You know, that was like 7 years ago, and I don't think, I don't think it's asking a lot for LeBron to try to keep Kyrie sane and also, maintain his health because he's about to be in his 21st season, so I don't know, man. They'll do something, but I don't think I'm kind of leery on Kyrie. I worry about that aspect of it.
I would do it. I would give it a shot. The hardest part would be getting through the regular season with three guys who don't really play that much. They probably wouldn't be a very high seed. But for a playoff team, I think that would be a pretty fire playoff team. Just like this team was. Like this was a bad regular season team, but once they got to the playoffs and they could give it their all, nobody wants to give it their all for 82 games. It's too much, you know? So,
well, yeah, I agree with that part.
But I mean, if they can get to the playoffs somehow, they blew a lot of close games this year. They could be a higher seed next year, I guess. But I would try it. I think there's something about being on a LeBron team that maybe he would probably care more because it's more historical when LeBron's on the team.
I don't know, man. It just hasn't worked out anywhere with this guy, is what I'm saying. Like
Except with LeBron.
Cleveland, right? That's what I'm saying. But I don't know. Like what? Right? I don't know. But he left to go to Boston. That was a disaster. He went to go to.
We all know the history of Kyrie. We don't need to go through every fucking team since
and
Cleveland.
Just last year, the Mavs traded for him to thought that they would be a contender with him, and they missed the playoffs altogether. So I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll question it, but yes, maybe if LeBron is on board and he feels like he can control this guy, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. Well, the most important thing is that they try to keep Reeves and Rui and things like that. And if they can make, there's a trade out there they can make. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens in offseason.
You both got to admit it was a really damn successful season to get to the semifinals.
Oh,
yeah.
Take into consideration where they were at for the majority of the season, then yeah.
Yeah, they actually gave everyone hope that they could go all the way. Hell yes, they overachieved.
For sure. Because I mean, at no point during at least the first 60+ games did any of us say that, man, this team is going to the Western Conference Finals. I don't think any of us thought they were even going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
they almost lost the play-in game, right? They almost lost it.
Yeah, they almost lost to Minnesota. And that would have that'd been catastrophic. Because then they would have had to play Denver in the first round. That would have been really bad. But
they would have been out in the first round
instead of the conference finals. It ended up being that Denver really was the best team. If there was ever a question about it, it pretty much got answered. But anyways, it was what it was, and yes, it was a success in one sense, and somewhat of a disappointment in another that they got swept. But all in all, I'm willing to see what they can do with the team next year, and I'm kind of semi hopeful that they'll be able to make a run for it next year.
All right, guys. Before we start talking wrestling, let me check out what we just recorded and let me see if the audio sounds level for all three of us, because last week I had a little issue with that. So let me press pause on this and check out what I just recorded for a second, and we'll get back to the show in a minute.
Sure, man.
All right.
All right, we're back. Let's get down to business. This is the Malapert Smarks Wrestling Podcast. We're disrespectful Smarks.
Woo-hoo.
Smart marks. We've never been in the wrestling business, none of us, not even close, but we still think we know more than everybody who has. So,
Well,
no, you don't.
I don't know about everybody. I didn't say I know better than every single buddy.
Tony Khan? Would you say you know more than Tony Khan?
Yeah, I know more than Tony Khan. I know more than Tony Khan. Yeah. But that's not saying much.
You think you'd be a better booker than Tony Khan?
I mean, a monkey could do better than Tony Khan, but that's neither here nor there at this point. So
Jesus. Jesus.
Yeah.
Well,
I train monkey. If that makes anyone feel better.
Well, listen. For completeness' sake,
Yeah.
last week I went off the air without getting a grade for last week's show. I don't know if you're. I know. Like
I actually did think of that. To be honest.
I was frazzled. I had the new puppy with me, and it's actually been a tough week, to be honest, with going to work and getting the place situated. Last night I did a lot of work on this apartment. Like I taped down any wire that was visible. I fucking duct taped that shit to the ground. There's literally nothing she could chew on or destroy electronics wise. So I didn't actually get completely ready for this show. I had wanted to have clips ready that we could watch live, but I didn't finish them in time. So that's next week. This week I'll put them in post-production. But for this week, well, do you remember last week's show? Do you remember, me and Robert were at C pluses. We couldn't go any higher than that. But I think you can't remember.
I can't remember specific, but I'm sure it couldn't have been any higher than a C. So, I mean, I usually stick to C minuses, so I can't remember. I'm sure I was not thrilled with it. So let's just be nice and give it a C. Let's just give it a C for last week.
That's fair. And remember, I was like asleep for several segments.
Yes, I remember now.
Yeah,
it's all coming back to me.
You can't give a show that good a grade if you fell asleep a bunch of times.
but that's more so because I was really, really tired.
I know. I feel you guys. You know, hey, my dad listened to some of our show last week. He thinks we got to try to be funnier. I don't know how with this show that we're watching, but we got to try to be funnier, guys. So let's make my dad laugh today.
I'll work on my comedic timing.
All right. Well, now that we got that old business out of the way, we wanted to talk a little bit of classic wrestling, because we've really only discussed modern AEW and WWE recently, or since the show started. We're on episode 10 now. Oh, I guess that's a milestone, huh? 10 episodes. I never thought we'd be on the air this long. But so I asked the boys here, I asked Robert and Vlad to make their top 5 in-ring workers. Since we're Smarks, we're going to talk just about their in-ring work. And I have a little bit of a graphic here for each of you that you guys have sent me. Let's see who comes up first. We got Vlad. Here's Vlad's
Oh, wow.
top 5 in-ring workers of all time. He started with... you want to go through it, Vlad? Let's see.
Oh, sure. I'll start, I guess, with... Well, 5 obviously is somewhat controversial, but I'm just looking at his wrestling ability, not what he did with his personal life. You know, this is just his in-ring work. I don't think anyone will deny that Chris Benoit, if you watched him in WCW and then later in WWFE, is one of the great in-ring wrestlers of all time. I mean, he was phenomenal. He was phenomenal, right?
Since we're on the topic, side topic, you know, since Cornette does this a lot, goes off on side issues, something that comes up. What do you guys think of him getting erased completely from the WWE catalog? Is that too controversial? Do you not want to broach that subject?
I think it's understandable. Like,
yeah,
you know, given the
circumstances
circumstances that happened, it makes complete sense.
Well, it ruins the show. Like, if you're gonna go back and watch all the episodes of WWE on what is it, Peacock, it doesn't make much sense now for certain parts. If I honestly I don't know how it looks. I can't imagine how it would look. It doesn't make any sense to take away the guy who wins the world title at WrestleMania and all the angles and all promos they cut.
True. You know, it's probably like awkward to try to watch that back and have that part missing.
But what about other art? Sorry to interrupt you, Robert, but what about other art? What if it was a movie? What if some guy, you know, was an actor and he did something terrible? Should we go back and edit the movie now and erase him from the DVD and stuff like that? I mean, I know, I realize what he did was wrong.
I see what you're saying, but there's another thing you have to factor into this is there's like WWE has like sponsors, right? There's there's like partnerships that
sure.
But it's not like he's on the new episodes.
Okay, I get it, but you know, you don't know behind the scenes like if they push WWE to do that. You know, if they're paying WWE money to, you know, a substantial amount of money to, you know, do whatever they tell them to do, then you kind of have to take that into account too. So it's not just the art, you know. I do see what you're saying, but I also think I put that as a factor too. Like that could be a reason why they did it.
What about you, Vlad? Are you okay with this? Do you think it's a good idea?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Robert. I mean, I think they're a public company. They have shareholders. It's a sticky situation. The guy he killed his family. I don't know, man. It's tough. It's a tough situation. I mean, as you know, like I said, great wrestler, but man, he did some heinous stuff there. So, I mean, you can't I could understand why Peacock might not want him, you know, on anything that they run. So, or like NBC, Peacock, whatever, you know, like they might not want him on there. So I kind of understand that. So I see what you're saying, Kalen, but I'm also understanding that there's a bigger picture situation here.
So it's just me. I mean, look.
No. Yeah. I guess in a sense, yes.
It's 2-1. It's 2-1 here. Yeah. 2-1. Well, look. If I were to remove him from Peacock, it wouldn't be because of what he did to his family. It would be because all of his matches were boring. Oh,
mid.
No, he was.
They weren't mid. They were great. But
it was a great. Okay, he was a great worker. Everything looked spot on, but just not really my favorite style of match. A lot of mat wrestling, right, Vlad? A lot of grappling and stuff like this. Looks great.
I think it depended on the opponent. I mean, if he had the right type of opponent, it could be kind of magical. Like matches with him and who was number, I think, 4 on my list is Eddie Guerrero. I mean, when they had matches together, their styles complemented each other because Guerrero was a little bit high flying, and you know, like you said, Benoit was more mat based. But both were really, really, really good, you know, together. But not just Eddie. He had great matches with a lot of people, with Jericho and I mean, even in WCW, he had great matches with a whole bunch of different guys, you know.
He had a 7-match series with Booker T that I remember that rivaled the 7-match series that the Young Bucks had with the Lucha Brothers.
I mean, I think I'm not gonna even comment on that. I'm gonna skip that. But I do remember the seven match, the best of seven match with Booker T. Yeah, that's just an example of just his great in ring ability and his great in ring work and things like that. But you want me I'll just go on. I don't want to spend all the time on Benoit. Eddie Guerrero, another one that kind of, died too young. But what a great wrestler, what a tremendous, and then after he left WCW, what a tremendous character, which we all didn't really get to see in WCW. I mean, we knew that he was a great worker. We saw all his matches with Rey Mysterio and Juventud, and like I said, Benoit, and all those guys that he had great matches with. He had matches with everyone that you could think of. But then you could see some of his personality come out because they were, he had it. He was like a total package wrestler.
Yeah,
Kurt
interesting
Angle,
that he could still do all that stuff when he got all buff too. He got all jacked off the steroids, and
yeah,
still it
yeah.
didn't affect his work at all. He could still do everything, but maybe he was pushing himself too hard. I don't know.
Yeah,
But I gotta agree with you.
he was he was a great compliment, like of great in ring work, and then the development of the character, which became really impressive, especially his heel turns later on and stuff like that. It was just great work for him. Kurt Angle, I think that one speaks for itself. The guy is amazing. I mean, he had great matches with everyone. I don't think I've ever really seen a bad Kurt Angle match. I can't think of one. Even in his TNA work, I saw a lot of his TNA stuff when I came back to wrestling in 2010. I mean, he had great matches with AJ, great matches with Jeff Jarrett, great matches with Ken Anderson. I mean, you got great matches out of everyone, So I mean,
Bobby Roode, yeah, no, I agree. I gotta agree with Kurt Angle, definitely top notch. Top notch.
Kurt Angle is. I mean, I'm not even mentioning all the stuff, the great matches that he's had with like WWE guys, Triple H and whoever, Jericho and The Rock and whoever else. He's had matches with everyone, and he's a tremendous. Number two, Shawn Michaels. I mean, I think that also speaks for itself. I may not like him personally, but man, there was a stretch in the '90s where I think it's some of the stuff speaks for itself. And then when he came back in 2002, he still continued to put on great matches as well. I mean, he's had great matches with everyone. The ladder matches, the casket matches, the first Hell in a Cell match, but just overall any match really. I mean, it doesn't have to be that. I mean, we all know his WrestleMania matches with The Undertaker are some of things of legend at this point.
Oh yeah.
Speaks for itself that he's one of the great in-ring workers of all time, and he has like that flashy style. His style is more flashy. It's more, not that he can do like mat wrestling. He can do it, but I think he prefers to do a lot of moves, if you will. And number one, I don't think this one's controversial. I think this one is also one that speaks for itself. I think Bret Hart. When I was growing up, when I watched Bret Hart, he made things look real, and that's what I kind of liked about Bret. Like his stuff looked real, the stuff that he was involved with looked real, and I mean he said so many classic matches. I mean, just on top of my head, matches with Stone Cold, WrestleMania, Piper, Kurt Hennig, the Bulldog,
Owen Hart,
Owen at WrestleMania 10. I mean, just so much great matches. He could have a great match pretty much with anybody, and he's had it. I mean, that's another one I've never really seen a bad Bret Hart match, unless you want to count that stuff with the thing that he had with Vince in 2010. But I don't really count that. I don't really count that because that was not really a match.
It was a good feud, though. I like that feud.
It was a good feud, but the match itself, I mean, that wasn't really Bret Hart anymore at that point. But I'm talking about Bret Hart from 90 to 99 till he basically retired. That guy was one of the great workers of all time. If we're talking about just in-ring ability, and and then in '97 when he turned heel, he had that whole character thing that also came out a bit. I mean, that's one of his criticisms, that he's kind of dry as a character, but I think it kind of came up, and he became a really, really great heel for a long stretch, and it was just working. He had a lot of material to work with, and it was great. So Bret Hart is one of my favorite workers of all time, just because of what he made you feel in the ring, and just the realism in his work. He made you think, as a kid, for sure, this was some stiff stuff. This is some good stuff right here.
I think I think you're gonna find Robert's list kind of interesting.
I am prepared. I know Brian has a different thinking on wrestling than I do, so I am prepared for his list to be quite different than mine. I don't know if he'll even have any similarities in the top 5, so I am curious about if there'll be even one. But if I'm expecting it to be quite different, and we'll have a lot to discuss probably once I see it.
All right, well, let's check it out. Here's the big reveal. Here we go.
Okay.
Here's Roberts, in no particular order. He couldn't give an order.
Fine. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I said it's interesting, because it's almost basically what you got.
Yeah, because all these guys I thought about putting in too, like Danielson and AJ. I mean, they were right, probably below some of those guys, just slightly, but like it's all debatable, it's all subjective. So like Danielson and AJ for sure can be on.
Well, hold on, in case someone's listening to the podcast, not watching us on YouTube, because we're on Castbox and other platforms as well.
Wow.
We gotta go. We gotta say it in audio form. Robert, you want to go through your list?
Sure.
It's a little similar to Vlad's, but a little different also. Go.
Actually, it's funny because I saw Eddie Guerrero's name on Vlad's list, and Kehan, I almost put Eddie Guerrero on here.
I know.
You saw
it's a tough list to make. Just five guys.
Yeah. My last spot was I was debating between Kurt Angle or Eddie Guerrero. It was a very tough call, but ultimately I went with Kurt Angle. So, all right, I'll start off with Kurt Angle. I mean, let's see what he's done. So, like right off the bat, he won a gold medal in wrestling with a broken freaking neck. So he brought us. It's true. It's damn true. It's damn true. So he brought this sense of legitimacy with him, that like he could actually wrestle for real.
That's true.
But besides that, because there are other like legit good wrestlers in the business, but he was really good in his ring work as well. So
yeah.
He brought that intensity, no pun intended. He brought that in all his matches.
The 3 eyes.
The 3 eyes, that was one of them. He just had a lot of memorable matches to me. His character, his persona too. Like I think in the first few years when he was in WWE, maybe I didn't appreciate it as much until he was not there anymore. Then I realized just how good his character was. But I always enjoyed his matches, so he was awesome. All right, and let's see. Can you pull up okay. AJ Styles. Okay, so I did not really watch TNA, so I probably missed out on a lot of his prime when he was still there.
Yeah.
But I know, I know when he showed up to WWE, he was coming off of New Japan, I believe. And I've heard his name a lot. I've heard that he was awesome. So when he showed up, I was like, oh, okay, I get to see what he was made of. And boy, oh boy, did he live up to the hype. He had what year did he show up? I think it was like 2015 in WWE. He had
Royal
something like
Rumble.
He
It was
yeah,
the Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble. He had a stretch of like 2 or 3 years where he had amazing match after amazing match. Like I was looking forward to seeing every match he was part of because he was that good. And
Mm.
so I was glad he, finally showed up to WWE. I should have watched him when he was in TNA. Well, I should have watched TNA, period. But I'm glad he eventually made the move and I got to see what he was capable of. Let's see, Shawn Michaels. Well, basically for a lot of the same reasons that Vlad already said. Um, he was my first, as a kid, he was my first, I think, favorite wrestler.
Yeah.
Um, I liked his, flashy style, but he was like really, his ring work was really good. Um, Man, there's a lot of great memories. Like Vlad already mentioned his matches with The Undertaker. I really loved his match with Kurt Angle too in WrestleMania. I want to say
Yeah.
22. I think it was 22. That was great. Um, and also the one with Bret Hart too. The WrestleMania, was it 10 or 11? I forget.
12.
12. Okay.
12. Yeah.
So in those particular matches, like the one against Bret Hart and the one against Kurt Angle, people, talk about Shawn Michaels like as this flashy um, ring worker, but he could do mat work really well. He
Yeah.
showed that he could actually hang with them in terms of mat work. So yeah, he pretty much could do it all. So yeah, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Bret Hart, well, he called himself the excellence of execution. I can't argue that. He really was. So
Definitely.
that guy was the man. I did say when Shawn Michaels was my first like favorite wrestler. They were both kind of like hot around the same time.
Yeah.
Uh, so I was more of a Shawn Michaels guy, but I always appreciated Bret Hart. Like he always brought it. He was amazing. Um, Brian Danielson. Well,
Yeah, that's your last guy. That
he showed up to WWE as Daniel Bryan. I When he first came on to WWE, he came on as part of the Nexus, if I remember correctly, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah, he
that's
was in
right.
NXT. Yeah,
Yeah, he came out of NXT and was part of that Nexus group. So
Yeah.
at the very beginning, he had a different style. He was, at least how I remember it, he was the guy that he will pull off submissions from out of nowhere, like just, well, not RKO, but just submission after submission, submission. He made like 100 different submission attempts in a match, and that made him look really, really dangerous at the time because like you never knew what he was gonna do. I kind of wished he kept that style because like that made him seem more unpredictable. Um, Eventually, he stopped that and went more into like a striking style, which is still entertaining. But yeah, I've always enjoyed his matches as well, even though I would have preferred him to stick with that original style that I remember him as when he first came on it as part of the Nexus. But yeah, he's great. And his run in 2013 when he kept getting called by the authority as a B plus
Mm.
player,
Hmm.
and the crowd support behind him, that was an awesome run towards the
Yeah.
WrestleMania match. I always remember
yes,
that.
definitely a great WrestleMania 30. So
Yeah.
over. Can't
And
argue.
I think he's remained consistently great for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
He's maintained a very high level for I don't know how many years now, but it's been a
Even
long
till
time.
now.
Like, yeah, even till
Yep.
now, he
Yep. I agree.
remains like top tier. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, he's not like Jericho, who's like completely fell off. Which
Well, to be fair, he is a lot younger than Jericho, but
true.
you know.
Yeah, well, still, Jericho just seems like he doesn't even care. Vlad was telling me that he almost put Jericho on his list. Like he almost made
I
the
don't.
top five, and I was like, ugh, come on.
I wouldn't argue that. I
I
wouldn't argue
think if you go back at Jericho's work, especially in WWE, not even in WCW, but specifically in WWE, he was also involved in a lot of. He was the workhorse of that company
I
for a long time.
agree. I agree. I completely
He
agree.
was.
He was great at that point. But when I was trying to tell you guys what the qualifications are for making this
I
list, I
I
was
put him, that's why I put him out. Well, that's not the only reason I put him out. I actually think the five guys I mentioned, I actually do consider slightly above him as far as in ring workers, but he's not that far off. Like he's right
well, you're
there.
going
He's
with the
below, he's slightly
best.
below.
You're going
The
with the
best,
best of
yeah,
what he did. I was trying to say go with overall their career. Like
right,
if someone had 20 good years, that's
yeah.
better. That's better than someone who had like 3 or 4 good years. You know what I mean? So
Well, well, didn't he have 20 good years?
yeah, but he completely ruined it at the end here. Like it's like a boxer starting his career 28-0, and then he like loses 20 matches in a row. Sorry, you're not one of the best anymore. You ruined it. You,
argue.
So did Ric
Oh
Flair
yeah,
ruin his career?
yes, Ric Flair is on my list. I was actually going to mention that yeah, no way, not anywhere near the top of my list either. And I don't like the figure four. I think the figure four is a ridiculous move that no one ever tapped out from.
So though,
For
even though everybody pretty much says that Ric Flair in his prime was probably one of the
yeah,
great
he
workers
was,
of all
but this
time.
is like the Jericho argument. Like, yeah, at a
Hmm.
time he
yeah,
was really good for a
The
time,
only
but
reason I'm not putting Flair in is because I didn't really see him in those
exactly.
years when he was
Same
the
here.
best. So that's the only reason I wouldn't put him in my top five. Not because he's not, but just because I didn't see enough of his work in NWA and then later in WW up in like the early '90s and then back in WCW again. So that's the only reason I'm not putting him in.
Same here.
But
I
but
didn't.
I think if I like, even if I look at his later stuff, like I still would say like, yeah, Ric Flair is like for sure one of the great workers of all time. I don't even think anybody would debate that.
I mean,
But,
yes, he was. I mean, look, a lot of this list also is just what we've seen. Because I gotta admit, although I don't claim to be a wrestling expert, but what I've
yeah,
seen is 1997 and on,
right,
and then I've seen a lot of the 80s, like
right,
WWF videos, like
right,
major
yeah,
shows, like pay-per-views, and
hmm
I didn't see a lot of the territory stuff, very
right,
sparsely. So I'm sure there's
exactly,
like Jerry the King Lawler, someone that a
sure,
lot of people would probably put on a list like this, but I just didn't see enough. So I'm just
right,
going off of what I've seen, which is kind of
exactly.
since the
That's my
90s.
point.
Although
Right.
I would consider putting Flair in there because I've seen enough of him, but I think I gotta say that his later career in the 90s where like literally nobody tapped out to the figure four, I just can't.
I don't know. I think we missed his prime years. I think his prime years were from like '80 to like maybe 1991 ish. So I think the stuff that once we started watching, like when I started watching, was like 95, 96. He was already like in his 40s at that point. So or in his mid 40s. So he was already past the peak that he was in when he was considered the best. I don't think he was already the best by 95, 96 at that point.
It's like when I started watching NBA, Larry Bird was about to retire. But I've heard so much about how awesome he was in the 80s.
Right.
I can't put him as one of my like the best basketball players that's
Sure.
ever played because I never watched him in his prime. But that's
I think
another discussion.
a lot of these type of discussions are what people watched when they were young, and like
Sure.
so like Jim Cornette will probably say somebody from like the 70s or the 60s, but really one of the best workers probably should be someone from the 1920s when people actually believed wrestling was real because their in-ring work was so good that they fooled everybody. So
Well, I don't know. In the 20s, I think they were actually sort of just like on the map for like 2 hours.
Yeah, like Chris Benoit, was the best worker.
Well, yeah, I don't. Even Benoit would have trouble being in the ring for 2 hours, grappling for 2 hours.
All right, well, I guess it's my turn.
Yeah,
Here's my
I'm
list.
curious
Four of your names are the same as mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's very interesting that a lot of us ended up with the same
So
guys.
Bret Hart, Kurt Angle, and Shawn Michaels are all three of ours.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Shawn.
Can you? Yes. No. I'll let you go first. I'll let you talk first.
What can I? What? What'd you say?
I was going to say, can you explain the rationale behind the Undertaker? As far as what was the thinking as far as?
All right, I'll get there.
Putting him on the list.
Well,
Okay.
I'll start with my number 5 for our podcast listeners. My number 5 was Shawn Michaels, which was on both your guys' list. Bumped around like crazy, made everybody look great. Whoever was in the ring with him. So, super kick, fucking looked awesome. Charisma up the ass. So definitely on my list. AJ Styles, number 4.
Yeah.
I didn't see TNA when I was younger. I quit on wrestling at that point. If I knew there was something like TNA going on, I might have tried to watch it. But it was hard because all the early shows were pay-per-views. And at one point, I found a website that had all of them, and I went through every single one. Literally, like I spent like a year watching everything from early TNA. And every week was a pay-per-view, so they had to literally make it so good that people had to buy the next show. So they would pull out all the stops every single week, and
This was before they got a TV deal, right? Before they got a TV deal.
And that first week, if anybody wants to go see that first match where AJ Styles won the X Division title, man, it might be the best match I've ever seen. Jesus Christ! But and he had this move, the spiral tap, which I don't think Robert saw much of. But when he was younger in TNA, he used to do this like flip, like triple flip that I can't even explain off the top rope.
Brian showed it to me on the video.
Yes, that was the coolest move. I don't think he could do it anymore. It looked like dangerous as hell, but smooth, fluid. Strikes look good. His psychology, I mean, it's good enough, but I think just the fluidity of his movements and his moves puts him in the list for me. So spot on and perfect. Who else do I got? Kurt Angle, yes. The ankle lock, when he got that ankle lock on people, the whole crowd always used to get into it. Like, oh no, he's got the ankle lock on him. But man, for a guy who transitioned from a non-wrestling, he caught on to wrestling so well. Was so good, good in the ring. Personality up the ass too, although we're not talking about that, but he was so freaking funny. The Undertaker. Okay, so that's the one thing that differed from you guys on your list. Nobody had the Undertaker. Well, I mean, I tried to take into account the body of work, which was something I tried to say was a criteria for making this list. Like, overall, he had so many WrestleMania matches, especially towards the end when people were trying to break the streak. The 2 with Shawn Michaels, the 2 with Triple H were such incredible 5-star matches on such a grand stage at WrestleMania that everybody wanted to see. And they were so well done, so perfectly well done. And he's kicked a lot of kickouts, false finishes out of, unrealistic, like getting hit with a sledgehammer by Triple H in the Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania, and super kicked, and he still kicked out, but it still made sense because he's the Undertaker. He had the supernatural thing, which is a little funky, but he made it work, and I think, everything else he does too, like the tombstone, the strikes, they're all solid. Yeah. But I have to say, just because he had such incredibly massive, important matches that went perfectly. So that's why he goes number 2 on my list. Like, who else had more important matches than that? I mean, the streak was probably more important than a lot of world title matches. Like, John Cena had a lot of world title matches at WrestleMania, but the streak was like the real main event. People were like, like the Shawn Michaels retirement match, Triple H trying it twice after him, and was there someone after that who fought him before he fought Kurt Angle, or was that the last one? The Triple H? I don't know. We got to go through the list, but I mean, I think it was great. I think he's really his persona and everything. It fits so well together with his work in the ring, so he had to make my list. And who else is on my list? The last one was Bret Hart. Yeah, I mean the strikes, the punches. Probably my favorite puncher. You know, he did the stomp, which some people are like likening the stomp to slapping the leg. You know, but a lot of guys used to do it back then, like Scott Hall. So he'd throw a punch and he'd stomp the floor. It made it look like real good. It made it look real good. Gave it some extra oomph. So and yes, so many incredible matches. The one with Stone Cold, the one with Owen Hart, just flawless in the ring. Some people might say he didn't have the personality, but I liked his personality too. So there we go. So there's our list. We all had 3 guys, very similar lists for all of us basically. I had some honorable mentions that I didn't. I mean, Bryan Danielson, I agree with Robert, is fantastic. Scott Hall I really liked. Eddie Guerrero too. Christian, of course, I'll give a shout out. And some of the old guys, Ricky Steamboat, Jerry Lynn, Rey Mysterio. These are some guys that I thought of as really
sure. Yeah, all those guys are very.
What happened to your boy Jeff Jarrett?
Jeff Jarrett.
I thought he was your greatest.
I respect what he's done in the wrestling business.
Okay.
For what he has, for his level of ability
I was just waiting for you to say Jeff Jarrett. So I was like, when's he gonna say his name? Okay.
Well, for the record, I do think that not that Jarrett's a top 5 or even.
I think he's a really good in-ring worker too.
But I think he's also a really good in-ring worker, especially I think his early stuff is really good. Like his stuff in early WWE he was a good worker. He was a good wrestler. He could work for sure.
All right. Well, that was
I was just expecting Keon to say his name. That's all.
Oh, yeah,
I know.
that's true.
I know. Well, the list was best in-ring workers, not your favorite wrestler. If it was your top 5 favorite wrestlers, then he would be my number 1. I love that guy.
Right. Of course.
But I guess no one put Hogan on this list either. No Hogan, no Flair. Although I don't know. Would be on my honorary members, as well as guys like Jericho, and I didn't have AJ on there, who I think is a great worker. Danielson is somebody I said. So there's Rey Mysterio for sure. I also liked a lot of Edge's work. Especially his early stuff. I think he's a really good worker. When he was healing it up with Lita, I thought there was some good work. I mean, just match-wise and character-wise, he was really good at that time. So he'd be on my honor member list. I've always enjoyed he has a creative mind for some of his matches. All right. Well, let's wrap that up. That was a nice segment, at least just to get our feet wet talking about some classic stuff.
Yes.
We'll think of more things to talk about as time goes on, but we do want to do a Dynamite review for this week. Did you watch it, Robert, or what?
I did, and I didn't fall asleep this time on any of the segments.
I watched it 3 times, believe it or not.
Okay.
Why? Because it was so good,
you had time to watch it 3 times.
Well, last night, I was doing the doggy proofing, so I left it on. I didn't really watch it when I was doing that. I just listened to it. And then the second time, I kind of watched it more, but I was falling asleep. And then today at work, I watched it all over again. So I was really trying to decide whether it was good or not. I mean, there were some things that were okay. I think the issue with these AEW shows is that, like back in the days, if we were waiting for Stone Cold to come out, for example, and we had to sit through a bunch of other crap, it would be worth it because it's like, okay, the rest of the show was kind of whack. We had to watch Godfather and Val Venus, but at least there's Stone Cold, so it's worth it. Now, if we're sitting through a bunch of crap, is the good stuff of the show really worth it to sit through? Did it give you enough happiness and joy to really make it worthwhile? So overall, I don't know if you get a sense of that once you've seen the show. Like once you're done with the show, like are you pissed off? Are you pissed off that I spent that much time watching it and there was no payoff, or was it like okay, that type of thing?
Is this a question, or is this open to? Okay.
It's
open. Okay,
it's open to discussion if you want to comment. But that's just the thought I had. But let's go ahead. I'll go through the show with you guys. All right.
Let's go through the show. I think that's better.
I got 15 segments, but we're not gonna really discuss a lot of it. A lot of it was fluff or filler, as you might. This is the Go Home show. This is May 24th, 2023. Double or Nothing is on Sunday, so this is their last chance to get people to buy the pay-per-view or buy a ticket to the show. And of course, they start the show with the highest-rated guy that they could think of, Orange Cassidy, the greatest wrestler of modern times. And Excalibur even said he's seemingly unbeatable. So he fought Kyle Fletcher from Aussie Open, also representing the United Empire. I know Vlad also doesn't want to talk about this, but I don't know if Robert has any thought.
What makes you think that? I don't. Is it my consistent, my consistent comments of me not understanding why this guy is constantly on my screen? I don't know. I'll just quickly say this was incredible in the sense that he was kicking out of some. I saw a bit. I was kind of forwarding, but he was kicking out of everything. Everything possible was done to this clown, and he was kicking out of it all. And then he won on a roll-up, and I nearly threw the remote at the TV, but I was like, you know what? I shouldn't even be surprised. I don't. And plus, does anyone care? Does anyone know? Does anyone care who this other guy is? Kyle Fletcher of Aussie whatever.
Well, he's in AEW now. They signed him.
Congratulations, you're all elite. Welcome to this wonderful place. Anyways, they wasted 20 minutes on this match. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, it was unbelievable, the stuff that he was kicking out of him. Just insane. That's all I got on that.
Robert, any thoughts on this? You want to comment?
Yeah, there was one bad spot where I think they completely botched, where Orange Cassidy jumped off the ring corner, right? And then I think he was supposed to do like a catch what's his name, Kyle, whatever, and do like a DDT on the apron or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
They completely botched it. It looked really bad. And then they even showed a slow-mo replay of it. I'm like, I wouldn't have done that. It was
they still sold it. Yeah, he still sold it, whatever it was. I remember that.
I think it was Taz that was trying to explain what happened. But yeah, it was bad enough seeing it the first time around in real time. But then they did a slow motion replay of it. I'm like, no, bad idea.
Well, they had to sell that because that was the point of the match. The point of the match was they were trying to get countouts. Like Orange Cassidy's struggling. This guy is actually pretty good, and he hit that move, and he went in, and he was telling the referee to count, please count him out, so I could get out of this.
But it was a bad botch.
Yeah.
But and then to the point that Vlad was mentioning, there was a point towards the end of the match where I don't remember his name. Kyle, was it Fletcher?
Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher.
He did two tombstones.
No.
Not tombstones. Well, pile drivers. He did two pile drivers on Orange Cassidy, one after the other. One also was he jumped up in the air and did a tombstone from there. So
Yeah.
two pile drivers and Orange Cassidy still kicked out of it. I thought that was very ridiculous.
It was absurd. It was absurd.
Ridiculous.
Yes, I think he was from the top,
Are you kidding
the
me?
top rope. It was from the top rope, and at that point, I was in awe of what they were doing. I couldn't even believe. I mean, there's one thing that they're trying to put this guy over, but it's getting to the point where it's becoming like a mock. It's becoming a mockery of wrestling at this point.
Well, if you,
Yeah.
my turn.
Yeah, your turn.
So, in my opinion, for the overall arc of the development of the Orange Cassidy character, I found it interesting that he was playing some cat and mouse games. It seemed like he felt a little threatened by Kyle Fletcher here. You know, a lot of laissez-faire, easygoing attitude, but I think this one was a little different. It looked like he actually felt like he had to try some different things to win the match, i.e. the count out, trying to get him counted out. So to me, that was interesting. And also, Orange Cassidy is the master of the tight roll-up, definitely. Like, he does it so well. He can literally pin anybody and he can take so much damage. He's just this guy to me is over. He's over.
All right, hold on.
Wait a second. Time out again.
Hold on.
Time out.
Look, I know this guy got. I know this guy got you like 200 something views. But come on, really?
Well, last week he was trying to convince me that the guy was super strong because he was going to take on 21 idiots in a battle royal.
Oh yeah, he is so good. He's super strong. He's super badass, fearless, fearless.
All right, I think it's time to move on to the next segment. Can we go to segment 2?
Yes.
All right. Segment 2 was Ricky Starks getting interviewed, and he said he was done with the Bullet Club. Like he didn't care that he got disqualified last week. He just wants to move on. But then they jumped him and whooped his ass. So that's not over. Ricky Starks is going to be distracted. Continue to be distracted with that. I think Ricky Starks could be a major player in AEW personally. I think Jay White is also really good too, but this whole thing it seems pointless, you know.
The angle sucks.
The angle sucks, yes.
Yeah.
So we'll just
I agree with that part.
We'll move on. There was a Jungle Boy pre-taped promo, which to me was kind of boring. I don't know if you guys have any comments on it. You could just
I remember saying that it wasn't too bad. You know, I mean, I don't remember it being boring. I actually thought he was a little kind of fired up, and he was saying some decent things. I can't remember specifics now, unfortunately, as I'm not taking notes anymore on these shows because it's not deserving of it. But I do remember it being like a solid promo where he kind of was showing some emotion, and it was a pre-tape, but it wasn't bad, and I'll leave it at that.
He said he's driven to Las Vegas for Double or Nothing 3 years in a row, and each time he's different. He's developed more. He's had experiences. Whatever. I don't give a shit. Next, we got Dax and Cash. They came in and cut a very insulting promo on Double J and his wife and Jay Lethal. Extremely insulting. I don't know what the hell their problem is. Mark Briscoe then comes out and he's pissed off that he got pile driven last week, even though Dax was blinded by alcohol. So, what do you guys think of this? You guys have any comments on Mark Briscoe not watching the show apparently last week? And
I guess he couldn't handle the pile driver as well as Orange Cassidy can.
Oh yeah, he was pissed off. He was pissed off about it. But it seems like a plot hole. One of those plot holes like, hey, you just watched the show back last week and see that it was an accident. Come on. They're really going to go with this as the reason that he's pissed off at him. So, I don't know. But if it leads to a feud with Dax, I guess that could be okay, but it's just a stupid reason.
That's like every wrestling angle when, an accident happens. Apparently nobody watches the show back ever. So,
Yeah,
so,
that's true. That's not just, to be fair, that's not just
it's
AEW,
not
but
just this angle.
yeah, that's not just the same. I mean,
Well, I gotta
guys,
point it out.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think Dax cut a pretty good promo. I mean, he was, pretty ramped up there, and obviously he took some shots at Karen. He even mentioned Dixie Carter's name. I saw that. You know, um, what do I think of this angle? I mean, I want to like it because of the people involved. Because I like the people involved. I like Jay. I like Mark Briscoe. Obviously, when I say I mean Jay Lethal. Um, Jeff Jarrett, I've always respected his wrestling mind. FTR, I'm a huge fan of their work. But this, like I said, it's kind of a silly type of thing. I mean, yeah, at the end, like, yeah, Mark Briscoe slapped everybody around. He pushed everyone aside and making it seem like he's not going to be on anybody's side. I get what they're going for on this, but there's just too many silly aspects of it that it's like, I don't know. It's hard to take seriously. I want to like it, but I can't, so that's unfortunate.
Yeah. And then, so as Mark Briscoe was walking to the back, he bumps into Jay Lethal, and he's not really happy with them either. He says he's tired
Right.
of all this bullshit, which is actually what we were thinking too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, me and you and all of us, Mark, we're tired of this bullshit.
okay. Robert, if you don't have any comments, I'll move on.
Yeah, I don't have any comment.
Okay, this next one I also didn't really have any comments on. Sami Guevara cuts a promo, an interview about the title match. These go home shows sometimes we've already done everything. Let's go ahead and get the match together, right? I mean, I don't really want to hear them cut another promo about how they say they're gonna win. Personally,
Okay.
the sixth segment here is House of Black defending the trios title against three randoms, AR Fox, Blake Christian, and Metalik. I didn't watch this. I gotta admit, there was an interesting lighting situation
Yeah, I
going
like
on.
the lighting. The lighting was cool.
Yes, that's the only thing I can comment on. I wish there was something more to it than that, but that's about it.
I liked how it ended too, with like all three members of the House of Black doing submissions, with one of them doing a choke while the guy is hanging off the rope. Remember? Like,
No,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't see that. I fucking missed it.
that's how that was. Oh, I thought that was cool. The way it ended.
There was some weird rules to this match too. Like there was no rope breaks or something, and there was no
Yeah.
tags. You could just walk in if you. It's some weird shit. Honestly, once they said that, like you don't have to tag, I was like, I'm not watching this match, man. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm not a big
I-
fan. And plus, yeah, go ahead, guys.
I,
I'm not going to
I
say anything
like the
but
ending. I think the ending is, well, if you fast forward to how it ends, I thought that's worth watching. But
mm,
All right. I mean, there was no chance they were gonna lose their titles to these three guys, so they really gave me very little reason to pay attention. We got Blackpool Combat Club in the back somewhere, cutting a promo.
near the trash cans.
Yeah, they say they're standard stuff. They're the best and all
Right.
that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Danielson and Moxley, they both got a chance to talk. There's a tag team title match for the Ring of Honor tag team title, so they're talking that up that they're gonna win that. You guys, if you guys care to comment on this, I don't know. I don't think it was that important.
not really.
No,
All right.
nothing.
All right, so the next segment, we got great backdrop, by the way, Robert. We got the Pillars angle. MJF comes in, and business picks up, right? For real.
Oh, yeah.
So MJF walks in like a boss and grabs Tony Schiavone's coffee, takes a sip, and throws the rest of it on him.
And then he spits at the fan. Did you see that?
No, I missed that. What the hell?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. You got to go back and look at the clip. He spit at a fan.
This was me trying to do some extra work while I was watching the show, so I might have missed some tiny details. But let me see. Cuts a promo about all the guys. Cuts a promo about Las Vegas people and stuff. Darby comes out. Darby cuts a promo about, how he used to work at the 99-cent store and, had to clean the toilets. Woe is me. And then MJF listens to it, listens to every word of it, and kicks him in the balls.
Yeah.
And Sammy charges in, chases him off, and then Jungle Boy is there to surround him, and they leave him laying. So I guess they're trying to say, hey, he's got 3 guys against him who don't like him, so this is going to be a tough one for him to get out of this. So any comments? I'll start with Robert. Any comments about the coffee, Darby Allin's promo, and just the fact that he is getting ready for this match?
MJF's promo was awesome. I thought it was great. The rest of it was okay. It was Darby Allin. I wasn't too much of a fan of Darby Allin's promo. Like, I didn't care much that he used to work in the 99-cent store and clean toilets. Like, okay. Yeah, I don't know. My favorite part of that whole segment was MJF's promo, personally. The rest of it was just, it was okay.
You really believe that he can lose?
MJF?
Yeah, this Sunday?
That he can lose? Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't think he will. Only because I think he's still the hottest prospect in AEW, and like his title reign hasn't been that long yet. I think he's gonna hold on to the title for a little bit longer at least.
So he can't
If
lose.
he, if he's
It's not gonna
if
lose.
he's had it longer, I would say there's a bigger chance of him losing. But he can still lose. I just don't think it'll happen. Yeah.
All right, Vlad, what do you think of this whole segment? From MJF to Darby to the ending.
I mean, MJF's heel work is impeccable. I mean, he's one of the great heels, not just in modern wrestling, but maybe of all time. Like, he's right up there. His heel work is tremendous. Like, on the mic, just his facials, everything he does when he's, like, not involved in some silly stuff, when he sometimes has been, is just tremendous. It's just every movement has a purpose. So I'm very impressed with this guy as far as not just if we're talking about his heel persona and what he does and what he brings to the table as far as that goes. He's got that down to like a science. The rest of the, I've said before, I'm not really fond of this whole thing, but, Darby tried, and I kind of wished it would have just been one-on-one with him and Darby, because I think they're the two players here. They're the 2 more important people. That's what I think. I mean, Darby tried. I think it was decent, but he's kind of cut similar stuff before, where he said, like, I had a rough go at it. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I ended up.
I lived in my car.
Right. And then, I became a wrestler. And then a crazy billionaire hired me.
Yeah, some idiot paid me a bunch of money.
And now some crazy billionaire is paying me almost $1 million a year, and I'm living my dreams. And now I'm gonna go climb Mount Everest. Whatever. I mean, I don't have anything against Darby. I think he's kind of a interesting personality in that sense, and I wish it was just with him and MJF. But MJF is, I mean, I've said it before. He's top notch. He's like a modern day Ric Flair in that sense.
Dude, I didn't like Darby Allin's promo. I'll just come out and say it.
Yeah.
Like, just like you, I don't have anything against him, but I just don't like how he starts the diatribe. Like, after MJF, like, really insults everyone, he starts and comes out with his prepared speech. It looks obviously prepared, sounds obviously prepared. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I think I wish he would be a little more like Sting. If you're a depressive case, just don't say anything. Just like, just be mysterious. No one wants to hear that you're fucking sad all the time, and you're sad that you had a job. Like, fuck you, man. A lot of people have jobs, dude. Like, a lot of you're not the only guy who's lived in his car. Not that I've lived in my car, but he didn't have to live in his car, this motherfucker, you know? You could have had a job, you could have got a job and got a roommate or something. So.
So,
Right.
there we go. Keon's got his solution for ending poverty. Find a roommate. And live with someone
get a job and find a roommate. Well, you know, I don't know. I just it doesn't sound good to me personally. So, and then
I'm just saying that he tried. I didn't say it was great. I just said or good even. I'm just saying that he's trying. You know.
Well, it'll be interesting how MJF gets out of this match. We'll see how they book it because he's gonna get out of it, but it's a difficult thing. Like a guy, when someone's in a fatal four-way with three other guys who don't like him, you'd think they would. But you know, even if they get him out of the way, then they're gonna have to fight with each other. So it'll be interesting how it goes down. So we'll see. Let's move along. We got Taya Valkyrie and Lady Frost, who I've seen on Ring of Honor. I like her. She's pretty nice. But nothing much here. Taya Valkyrie's going to face Jade Cargill at the pay-per-view, and I think they should put her over. Personally, I don't think they will, but we'll see what happens. Okay, now we got some big-time stuff. Tony Khan is out for an announcement. He's going to announce...
You're kidding me. Tony Khan is back.
This is a big announcement. So as soon as he announced that Collision is in the United Center in Chicago, the crowd popped like crazy, and I think we all know why. And I did hear a few CM Punk chants. So here we go again. They're gonna start a new show and bring CM Punk out again. They did this already with Rampage. They popped a big rating for Rampage, 1 million people, and then they didn't follow up. So we're going to try it again. Are you excited, guys, or what? CM Punk is coming back.
You want me to? I'll let Robert go first.
Okay. I'll definitely look forward to the first show, being that it's in Chicago. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a really hot crowd, and that'll definitely help. Going forward after that, I'm not sure. We'll just see how it goes. But for sure, that first show I'll watch. I'm excited for that.
I hope they don't start it off like they did with Rampage, doing nothing, just like bringing him out to like wave at the crowd and everything. You know, like they got to start with an angle. It's got to go straight to something. He's got to come out and attack somebody, or like a match ends and or he saves somebody or something. I don't know. I don't want him to just come out and cut a promo, personally. Unless he's going to cut a real good promo, like destroying everybody. But, Vlad, do you have any hope for this? I mean, is this going to be Rampage all over again, or are they going to actually pull this off this time?
Well, I have some hope because Punk is involved, and it looks like the guys that are not featured on their usual shows, guys that I kind of want to see could be on there, like Miro and Samoa Joe and a couple others. Well, Punk, obviously, that goes without saying. Maybe FTR will be on there, and who knows what else. Guys that I kind of like as wrestlers and kind of like some of their characters as well. So there's a chance, but I mean, obviously Tony Khan is still booking, and that concerns me. And I don't know. I mean, I have concerns, but it will be interesting. It will be interesting what happens. I will definitely watch the first couple and see what happens with that. But
maybe since sorry, Vlad. I was gonna say maybe since they're gonna split up the rosters and supposedly he's gonna be like featured on this show. Maybe this gives it more hope than Rampage.
Absolutely.
So let's see what happens. Let's wrap this up real quick.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Robert.
I'll also watch the show when it comes to Regina.
Oh yeah, it is. So it is.
That again.
It is Regina.
It is. That's really how it's pronounced.
I mean, apparently.
Well, he didn't correct me.
I read it and I'm thinking it's Regina. But okay.
I mean, someone should find that out. We'll find that out someone should find that out for Tony Khan, because maybe it is Regina though. I don't know.
You would think because he's called it that now twice.
Yeah, someone would have corrected him, you know?
And this time I heard it. Last week I was like, what? He did what now? This week I heard it. I was like, well, yeah, Robert's going to get a kick out of this, but maybe that is the way you say it. Maybe that really is the way you say it.
Yeah, maybe it is, but I don't know. Every time I read that the way it's spelled out, I'm always thinking Regina.
Yeah, that's funny.
He pronounces you want him to pronounce it the way Borat pronounces, which I.
Well, he is the Borat of wrestling promoters, and wrestling owners and promoters. So,
all right, guys, it's getting late. Let's wrap this up. I got a couple more segments. So, Adam Hangman Page cuts a promo with an eye patch because the Blackpool Combat Club gouged his eye out with a screwdriver. So I don't know. I don't know what he said. He's back in the Elite. They're his family or something like that.
That's
whatever.
Basically what he said. They're his family. Yeah, exactly. You got it. You nailed it, David.
Okay.
Yeah.
The eye patch thing would be cooler if they didn't have such a horrible segment that, where it happened. So that's why we can't really take that seriously. But
yeah.
So the next segment was kind of interesting to me. Jericho and Adam Cole's contract signing. I gotta say I'll give Jericho praise for this segment, although sometimes he could talk a little bit tongue in cheek, like it doesn't sound realistic. But for this one, I thought he did good, and Adam Cole did good too, in my opinion. What did you guys think? Or I'll start with Vlad.
It was decent. It was probably better than I thought it was going to be. I mean, we know how these contract signings usually go. They're usually, somebody's going to end up fighting or something's going to happen. Somebody's going to attack someone. So I was already prepared for that. They're kind of like, they use them as like a gimmick. But as far as this thing goes, it was, it wasn't bad. They were kind of taking it somewhat seriously, and there was some sort of serious tones to it that was not kind of surprising because Jericho, the previous couple of weeks, has looked like kind of like a buffoon in this whole thing. So I don't know.
I thought I didn't know the pay-per-view was so close. I thought he was going to get some heat back before they got to this match. They've already destroyed him, and now. So then. Well, before we move on to the big surprise at the end of the segment, Robert, Adam Cole and Chris Jericho's promos, pretty good.
Oh yeah, I loved. Well, they were both good, but I especially loved Jericho's heel work here.
Yes.
I'm not a bitch. I'm not from Las Vegas. You want to hit me? Hit me. He was great, I thought, in this particular segment.
Yeah.
I liked it. There is one other thing I want to say, but it's kind of leading up to the next segment, so I'll just let you go on to the next part you were going to say first.
Oh, well, Adam Cole obviously needs some backup because there's 5 guys on the JAS, and so they needed to find someone who was just as crazy as all 5 of them combined. And Jericho goes, well, who could be as crazy as all 5 of us combined? And obviously, I don't know why I didn't know this, but Adam Cole is good friends with Sabu. And so he just called up his homie Sabu, and it's random as fuck, but okay. I'm happy to see Sabu. I bet you he's going to take a crazy bump just because he's crazy. But what do you guys think of that?
I was like, what the hell does this guy have to do with any... How old is Sabu?
It felt random.
I was really random. It was out of nowhere. I didn't understand what he had to do with... What does he have to do with any of this? And what kind of... how old is he and what kind of bump can he still take? I don't...
He's going to take the same exact bump with the steel chair flying into the fucking...
flying into a
I found it,
table.
Yes.
I found it silly that he was wearing the badge, the guest badge or whatever. Like, put that in your pocket or something, man. Come
I mean,
on.
it's because nobody knows who Sabu is. So if they saw him like walking around the back with,
Man,
they'd be like, "Hey man, get out of here."
I mean, I know Sabu kind of has a cult following amongst the ECW crowd in the '90s and stuff like that, and I know he's one that will take crazy spots and go through tables, flaming tables, and shred his forehead, with some good some good blade work and stuff like that. But I don't understand what he has to do with any of this, and how is this old man gonna? I don't know.
Well, maybe him and Adam Cole were, they bumped into each other at a bar or something, or at an autograph signing, and they hit it off real good.
That's more likely, yeah.
And he said, "Hey, man, if you ever get into any trouble with anybody, don't hesitate to call me, man. I got your back." And he's like, "All right, man. Thank you, man. Thank you." So maybe that's what happened.
I think it's just Tony Khan being a mark for the '90s wrestling, and
probably, yeah. They just gotta squeeze him in somewhere.
Squeeze in Sabu. Like I said, I don't have anything against Sabu, but this was just dumb and really random and not more nonsensical.
Is it dumb, Robert? Are you with Vlad? Is it dumb, or can you get excited to see Sabu?
Well, I don't know. I don't know about dumb, but it did feel random. I mean, it's not that I wasn't happy to see Sabu, but like this just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm happy to see Sabu's alive.
Not only is he alive, bro. Listen, Sabu is all elite, baby. He's gonna be on. He's gonna be on the show. He's gonna be
Yeah.
He's gonna be one of the TNT
more
champions.
Than just a one-time. Oh, you think it's more than just a one-time appearance?
I don't know. I'm kidding. I have no idea. But yeah, okay. Okay, it is what it is. So we're basically done with the show. Daniel Garcia and Roderick Strong. Nothing there, except for the Daniel Garcia dance, which is my favorite dance. I don't know if you guys seen it yet or no.
I still haven't seen it.
You don't know the Daniel Garcia dance?
All his matches. I forward to all Daniel Garcia matches as soon as I see him.
I just had one comment. It was a thing that I was gonna say when I was talking about the Jericho segment. So the Jericho and Adam Cole segment eventually transitioned to that match. But in between that that transition, they showed like a promo of, I think, the women's title match. I don't know. It just I felt like that promo kind of ruined the continuity of the transition from the contract signing to the Roderick and Daniel Garcia match. It felt kind of awkward to me. They just placed it there and then, oh look, they're fighting.
Yeah, that's
formatting
issue. But yeah.
They didn't set it up well. They didn't make the audience feel. Yeah, and that's a big issue with AEW in my opinion. WWE will make anything seem like a big deal. They'll set it up. They'll tell you beforehand it's going to happen. They'll tell you in the morning it's going to happen. They'll tell you when the show starts it's going to happen. They get people excited for nothing, basically. And AEW actually have exciting things, and they don't promote anything. So that's something I think they could work on. But their shows are too jam-packed. That's why they don't really have much time for talking things up that are coming later on in the show. But anyways, I don't even know who won that match. Do you guys know? I think it was Roderick Strong.
Probably Roderick Strong, most likely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, in between there was this weird video package about Willow Nightingale beating Sasha Banks in Japan. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yes.
I didn't see any of it. I mean, I don't watch the Japan stuff. I'm trying to get into it, but I didn't see this. I don't know if Willow beat her clean or if there was some kind of shenanigans from someone else. They didn't really say anything about that.
Yeah, good point.
I don't know if she beat her clean, but I know that Mercedes got injured, like legitimately injured. That's what I heard.
Mm.
But
Well,
I don't know. Yeah.
that power bomb that Willow Nightingale puts people in looks pretty vicious. I'm surprised some people can take it so easily, but I wouldn't be surprised if she got hurt working with Willow. I mean, Willow's not that she's an unsafe worker, but
Mm.
I don't know. I got to go back and figure out what happened there. If any of you find out, let me know, because I want to know. I don't think she beat her clean, but they didn't really mention anything like that. And they used Sasha Banks on the show in AEW, so that's something. It's interesting. And the last segment was the Ring of Honor Tag Team title match, the Lucha Brothers against the Blackpool Combat Club, Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. And Daniel Bryan was on commentary. The only thing I'll say about it is the ending, and Daniel Bryan acting surprised that the Young Bucks were there to interfere. And he's like, "What the hell?" So I think he put that over well. I think Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, I think he did a good job in this segment. He put this segment over. Other than that, there was really nothing to care about for the match. But I thought it was funny that he was surprised that the Young Bucks were there. I'm like, why are you surprised? You're in a feud with them. It's like, what the fuck? Like, he was so confident that they were going to win the Ring of Honor Tag Team titles. It was like already like a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, it was weird because they've been beating them up for weeks, and he's surprised that they would interfere in the match.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty hilarious. Personally,
Yeah.
I thought this was pretty good. Robert, any thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I agree with that was pretty good. But I also wanted to point out like one specific thing that happened in the match that caught my attention was when Claudio Castagnoli he was doing the spinning move on one of the Lucha Brothers, and Wheeler Yuta drop kicked that guy while he was still getting spun around. I thought that was pretty hilarious. I never seen that done before. Even when he was still Cesaro in WWE, like I never saw anyone kick that guy while he was getting spun around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was pretty hilarious.
that is interesting. That is interesting. Well, it should be an interesting match once if they finally get into their hardcore crazy anarchy match at the pay-per-view. So before I get into the pay-per-view stuff, you guys want to give a grade for the show? Robert, how about you first?
I'll go with C. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't anything great either.
Vlad?
Yeah, I probably will second that. I was thinking between C minus and C, but I will give it a C because of MJF actually being on the show and having a pretty entertaining promo. And that was enough for me to at least give it a C.
All right. Well, I'm gonna give it a C plus. I'll go a little bit better than you guys, just for yes, MJF coming out looking like $1 million like he always does. The Jericho and Cole contract signing, I think, was a good segment, and I guess that's it. The rest of it was kind of a lot of fluff. Oh, and the ending. The ending I didn't mind either. Daniel Bryan. I think Daniel Bryan was good in that segment. Good acting. Good acting. Since we're smarks here and we know the show is fake, good acting. We can say that on this show. But are you guys excited for the pay-per-view or what? I'm gonna be working, but I'm not gonna.
I can't watch it. I'm working too.
Yeah.
Well, I won't be ordering it, so I'll probably have to. I mean, I'm not spending money on this. I'll be honest.
Well, what's exciting about the match? There's the four-way match. There's Orange Cassidy's title defense against 20 people, and what else? Is there anything else that you're looking forward to at all?
I mean, no. I mean, no.
Only those two.
I mean, unless you are into the anarchy stuff that's going to be going on, that
How about
maybe.
this? Why don't we make predictions on the matches that's coming up?
Yeah.
I know for sure Orange Cassidy's gonna beat those 20 scrubs that they throw in front of him,
I'll agree.
and
Probably,
and
yeah.
MJF will come out with the title. I don't think I'm with you guys. They're not gonna. I think FTR is gonna come out with the titles too. I think this is just a match for them too. So it's really that. Oh, I mean the Elite and the Blackpool Combat Club. I mean, I could see them putting the Elite over.
Yeah,
they're the heels. You want to make a prediction, Robert?
Yeah, I think the Elite wins. What about the Jade Cargill Taya Valkyrie match?
I think they're gonna keep going with Jade and this stupid streak, but I would end it now. I'm so over it. It's so pointless.
I read rumors that the person that they want to break the streak and to win the championship is what's her name? The one that acts like she's from outer space.
Statlander?
Yeah,
Statlander.
I heard she's the one that they AEW wants to beat Jade Cargill. That's what I heard. But I don't know if they're actually gonna go through with that.
I don't know about that. I wouldn't. She's okay. I saw she was in a title match early on in AEW history, which I think it was a pay-per-view match that I thought was.
She keeps getting injured, right? She's been injured twice now. Like she was out for a while, and then she came back, and then she got injured again. I think so. I don't think. Well, I mean, they could do anything, but I don't think she's reliable as a champion in that sense.
I would choose Taya Valkyrie over Chris Statlander. I mean anybody. Like they
Just
could
end it, right? Who cares?
Yeah, just end. If it wants to be Statlander, fine. I don't care.
I don't.
Is there anything we're forgetting?
There's Wardlow and Christian.
Oh yeah, I think it's gonna be Wardlow too. Yeah. Although I would like Christian to win.
Yeah, no, that ain't happening.
I mean, maybe he could cheat and win. I mean.
Toni Storm and Jamie Hayter? Do you have a...
Oh, I think Jamie Hayter still win. Yeah, I think Jamie Hayter wins.
I don't know.
You know I think I could see Toni winning that one for some reason.
Yeah, I could see Toni Storm winning that too.
Yeah, I think they might try to do something with her there, but maybe not. Who knows? I mean, but I think I'm gonna pick Toni in that one.
Are the Acclaimed having a match?
No, the Acclaimed are not on the card this time.
That's interesting. Wow.
The last match is Chris Jericho versus Adam Cole.
Oh right.
That's insane. Yeah. Like a few months ago, the Acclaimed were like the hottest. Well, one of the hottest in wrestling.
Well, yeah, I think I mentioned in one of our shows. Maybe Robert wasn't on that, but like they're really doing. Amazing stuff as far as cooling this team off. Like they were as red hot as team could be. Even if I don't like the gimmick, the whole scissor me daddy thing, which I think is ridiculous, but I still could see that people were into them and it was organic how they got over. So I appreciated that aspect of it. But yeah, they really cooled them off after they lost the titles, and nothing good has happened to the teams that lost those belts. And the Claims are going nowhere and the Guns are going nowhere. I mean, yeah, so all those people really do need a secondary show because they're not getting anything done on their primary show.
Well, I think some of them get on Rampage, if I'm not mistaken.
That doesn't count, man. Nobody watches that. That might as well be on YouTube.
Some Rampages aren't as bad as others. I'll just say that. But anyways, that'll wrap up our show for this week. Thanks for coming on. It's very in-depth conversation today about in-ring workers. If any of you think of other topics that we can discuss in the future, you guys know my how to get in contact with me. But thank you very much for coming on, guys. You know, I've been very stressed out and tired, a lot of shit in my life, but when I come on these podcasts, it's like it's all gone. It feels pretty good.
Well, how's the dog doing, by the way? How's your dog?
She's sleeping right here. Oh. But she's doing good.
Yeah.
Actually, she stayed at home today alone for the first time, so that's why I was so. I really had to get everything done last night, so I couldn't really cut up my Dynamite clips that I wanted to cut up. But I had to finish like I doggy proofed the whole place, like pretty much
Yeah.
spot on. There was nothing she could choke on, and nothing that she could bite up and chew up, like electronics wise. So it was like whatever was here that you want to destroy, go ahead. And she was chill. I was watching her. I had a little camera, and
good, you brought
I
a
was
camera,
watching her
yeah.
from work. Yeah, so she was just laying there the whole time, just kind of resting and chilling.
Oh,
Yeah, but she's super awesome, man. I mean, she makes me happy, to be honest.
Nice.
She makes me pretty happy. Yeah, she's so fun and happy and fun loving. You know.
does she go crazy when you come home?
Well, today she did because it was a long stretch while I wasn't there.
Yeah.
But overall, I think for the most part, she expects us to be here because she's queen. You know, whatever she wants, she gets. So today was unusual that she wasn't. But yeah, I mean, things are going well. She's healthy. She was a little chunky at first, but I think they didn't walk her, whoever had her at first. But she's been walking, so she's been getting stronger. Now she can jump up on the bed. Like at first she was too
nice.
weak to even jump up on the bed. So she's super clean. She doesn't shed at all. You know, I can
That's
hold
nice.
her and no hairs get on me. So yeah, I'm super happy with it, man. I just I just pray I'm gonna do my best to take care of her, man. I hope nothing happens to her.
Yeah. You're doing good
Very
work,
sure you
Aaron. Yeah, I'm sure you will, man.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for coming on. We'll figure out how we're going to do this next week. I don't know. Maybe we'll wait till Dynamite passes, and then we'll talk about Double or Nothing and Dynamite together. Maybe.
Yeah,
So-
maybe. And don't forget, there's also the Saudi Arabia show on Saturday.
Oh,
I mean, in
shit.
case anyone cares.
Oh, my God. Oh, it's at 10 in the morning, our time, Pacific Standard Time.
Oh,
So-
I thought it was a one. Oh, it was 1 Eastern. 1 Eastern.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I was
Yeah,
going to
that's
say
crazy.
maybe you guys could come hang out, but I don't think you guys want to wake up at 10 in the morning for this.
I worked this whole weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I'll have Memorial Day off, but I work.
Yeah.
Monday Night Raw, then, baby. Monday
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
There's wrestling for every night of the week. You know, I'm gonna start. I watched NXT. I watched everything this week, dude. I'm gonna get back into it. I'm gonna get Brian's
here
password
you
for
go.
New Japan. I'm gonna start watching that too. So I gotta start learning all these names of these crazy Japanese wrestlers. But if I can, we'll see. I'm gonna give it a try. But thanks again, guys. I appreciate it. I think this was a good show. I'm gonna cut up these clips and we'll put them out. So I'll talk to you guys soon then, huh?
All right. Sounds good. Okay.
All right.
Take care. Take care, Robert. Have a good night, guys.
All right. Good night.